Alright, so welcome to the next video, and in this video we're going to go over how do you classify lines based on their slope. This is something you also did with Ms. Perez class if you have Algebra 2. And for those that did have that class, I think this is the subject that y'all struggle with the most, so we're going to go over it to make sure that you really understand it. So first, classifying lines by their slope. The slope of a line tells us whether the line rises or falls from left to right, like these, if it's horizontal like this one, or if it's vertical like this. Remember, horizontal means left to right, it's like the horizon. Vertical means up down. So here's the 4 different examples. Let's go over the first one over here, positive slope. Now a positive slope, you know it's a positive slope because it rises from left to right. Another way to think about it is that if you pick a point, let's say let me pick a different color, this one and this one, to get there, if you remember the slope equation, it's pretty much rise over run. To get that slope, we have to go up a certain amount and then to the right a certain amount. So because you're going up on both sides, it's positive. What's a positive? Divided by a positive, you get a positive. So that's how you know this one is positive. Now let's look at the second one. The second example is a negative slope. How is negative? Well, you go right, so that's positive. You pick a point, but then you go down, and that makes it negative. So this length is positive, this length is negative. Positive divided by a negative, you're going to get a negative. So that's a negative slope. It falls from left to right. And remember, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but when you're reading graphs, it's just like reading English. You go from left to right. Now, horizontal slope. This one's a little bit trickier. Let me pick a different color. Perfect. So let's say I pick a point. Let's say I pick this one, and I pick this one. Now, how do I get from here to here? Well, up, you go up, you don't take any steps up, so you just go to the right. So you go whatever, bop, 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 bop. It's positive because you go to the right. Now you don't do any rise, so it's 0 over positive, so you get 0. This one's a little tricky one because it's pretty much anything that's horizontal is always going to be a 0 slope. Now this is the trickiest one of them all. This is the one where everything goes crazy. So let's say pick a point, pick another point. How many do you rise? Well, you just keep going. You rise infinity. How many do you run though? How many you never go to the right or to the left, so it's 0. And this is the tricky one. Remember, you can't divide anything by 0 because then the world crashes and everyone goes crazy. So this one is actually undefined. So remember again, let me just review again. You have positive slope when it rises from left to right. You have a negative slope when it falls from left to right. You have a 0 slope when it's horizontal, and you have an undefined slope when it's up and down. Let's go. Without graphing, tell whether the line through the following points rises, falls, is horizontal, or is vertical. So let me just draw these. Rises, falls, is horizontal, or is vertical. Now how can we do this? Well, all we have to do is find the slope. If you remember the equation, let me draw the skeleton. And right up here, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, divided by 3 minus negative 5. So these two become positive, and then you get 1 minus 1 is 0, over 3 plus 5 is 8. What's 0 divided by 8? 0. So because this is a 0 slope, it is going to be horizontal. That's all we had to do. Without graphing, just find the slope. If it's positive, it rises. If it's negative, it falls. If it's 0, it's horizontal. And if it's undefined, it's vertical. Without graphing, tell whether the line through the following points rises, falls, is horizontal, or is negative. Same idea. So now, we do the same thing. Negative 4 minus 0 over 2 minus negative 6. Remember, when you subtract the negative, it's like adding it. So you get negative 4 plus over 2 plus 6 is 8. What's that? That's negative 1/2. So because it's negative, let me just make sure I did that right. Because it's negative, you know that the slope is going to fall. So let me just review everything again. Let me move this thing. Put that up there. So you have 4 different graphs. If it's positive, it goes like to that. That means m is greater than 0. If it's negative, it falls. That means m is less than 0. If it's horizontal, that means m equals 0. And if it's vertical, it means m is undefined. Remember, m is from y equals mx plus b, the slope. So now go ahead and do the classwork. There should be a few problems. When you finish that, watch the next video.